review then before the beta launch and need technical reviewers to help us. If you are of someone who has the time and interested in certification, Annie Fisher is program managing that, and we would love for anyone who is interested in participating in it to help us out. So please contact Annie. All right. And then the final thing on today's agenda is Zibby Keaton and Greg Wallace are going to give an update on where we're heading for our marketing in 2018. So I think Zibby have we promoted Zibby, Annie?
We have. Oh, Zibby is promoted. She's ready to go.
All right.
Awesome. Do you mind just sharing my screen? Oh, here, never mind.
I think you can share it now.
Cool. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. I'll keep this pretty quick. I think what I wanted to do first was just go over kind of 2017 under the same kind of theme that Mark was going over, looking at how we grew, how we educated, how we engage from a marketing and comms perspective. So just in terms of growth, our newsletter that we push out monthly increased ninefold. We now have about 10,000 folks that subscribe to it, which is really, really great. Other things to just kind of call out here are just general coverage around Node.js Foundation. And what this really means is just what we're pushing out, whether it's blogs around release updates, Node.js certification program, how Node.js developers can get hired in a job with Node.js. Our focus is really around promoting Node.js. About 5%, it's sometimes Node.js Foundation, and that really related to our efforts with Node.js Interactive and when we have new members and stuff. So all around the board, we hit our numbers in terms of growing followers on our social media properties. And in our last board deck, we kind of go deeper into some of this. So if you are looking for more of a deeper analysis, I suggest you check that out. In terms of just engaging, we did more of an ad hoc approach to speaking opportunities. This year, you'll see a lot more of that, and we'll go into it during further slides. But we spoke at 6 different conferences, and I'm talking about Node.js Foundation members doing that. We worked with a few partners to help them host a booth at DockerCon. I think one of the big wins for us this year was really Node.js Collection. This is a effort that we do with the community committee, trying to get more Node.js content and voices out there on our social handles. We saw 73 articles posted in 2017, which is really, really great, with 80,000 views per month. So kind of going to educate. This is just kind of telling Node.js stories and how Node.js is doing. So we had a lot of respondents to our survey. I think we're going to try to really up-level that this year. Case studies, we had 2. We're rethinking that program and trying to get more folks telling us how they're using Node.js, and then just kind of consistently talking about enterprise conversations. So that's, again, a really high-level overview. If you want kind of more details, check out the last Node.js Foundation deck, but really we want to focus this conversation on where we're going in 2018 and how it kind of relates to how we fared in 2017. So with that, I'll hand it over to Greg.
Okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you, Greg.
Great. How's everybody doing? Oops. Please mute.
It's feedback from you, Zibby, I think. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
You have to like bring your mouse. There you go. All right. So when we thought about everything that we were going to be doing this year, we bucketed them into the following three categories: content, outreach, and engagement. And so we've got a few slides on each of these that we'll talk through, and Zibby and I are going to kind of bounce back and forth a little bit. High level, from a content perspective, we really want to accelerate our end user and enterprise content. There's just so many great stories out there, and we want to make sure that we are providing a very frictionless platform for people to plug in and tell those stories. We've been doing a annual Node.js user survey ever since I've started working with the foundation, which was right at the end of 2015, early 2016. And it's been a big program for us, and something that I think, you know, the community has benefited from a lot, and that, you know, we've been able to use from a marketing perspective. And we want to really up-level that. So I'll talk about that. And then lastly, adding a technical content work stream. From an outreach perspective, and Zibby's going to talk mostly about this, but I'll speak to it a little bit. You know, we want to make sure that the partnership with the ecosystem is really, really strong. So we've got a few things going on there. We really would love to know, which events do you all think we should go to? So we've got a slide where we've identified a handful, but we'd love to hear from everyone. What events do you think, you know, where would you like to see the Node Foundation participating in? And then, you know, continue our PR, our communications program with you know, maybe a slight shift away from social, not stopping it by any means, but just a slight shift towards PR. And let's see, and then last, engagement. So we want to continue all of the really great work that has been happening over the last several months to build bridges between the community and the foundation. And I feel like that is working really well from a marketing perspective. And we want to make sure that we keep doing that. And then look at adding a lightweight ambassador program. So if you could switch to the next slide for me, please. Right. So accelerating end user and enterprise content. So we've talked a little bit about the application showcase. If you haven't seen it yet, I would really encourage you to check it out. Whoops. Thanks. So basically what we did is we opened up a form that said, hey, are you building stuff with Node.js? Tell us about it. And in the form, we asked people to indicate the type of application it is. So full stack Node, orchestration, IoT, there's probably 15 different categories. Tell us the other technology that was used. You know, we know that Node is deployed into polyglot environments and is really often used as that glue. So we asked people to indicate the other technology that they used. And then lastly, what stage of development are they in? Well, we only launched it 2 weeks ago, and we're already up to about 90 submissions. About 40 of them have been published. And so we are really, really excited about this. It really, I think, highlights the incredible diversity of ways that people are using this technology. So, you know, please help us spread the word and get your friends and colleagues and, you know, people that you know who are building great things with Node to submit it. It's a great way to get a little bit of publicity. And this is going to become, and has already been, something that we've been folding into our social media outreach. So it's a great way to get some eyeballs on your app. So case studies. Zibby has been doing a really great job with this program. We've already got Home Away. We've got another one that's going to be coming out. I won't steal any thunder, but it's done, and we're going to be launching it in the next couple of weeks. We've got a few more in the pipeline, and we're getting more aggressive about reaching out to people. So we sent an email out in the annual Node.js user survey. We asked people if they would be willing to be contacted by the foundation. So we emailed all of them and said, hey, you said you would be willing to be contacted by the foundation. Here's some ways that we can help give you some visibility. You know, participate with us in a case study, do a enterprise conversation with us, talk to the press, right? That kind of thing. And so we've got a decent number of people who've responded there. We also have a case study writer. And so this won't help us with our case studies this year, but going into 2019, it's going to give us a really strong backlog that we can work with. So we're going to have her, and maybe we'll invite more than one, we'll see, but we're going to have at least one writer come to JS Interactive in October and schedule meetings with the end users that are going to be there to kind of get the meat going on the case studies. And then enterprise conversations. This is a place where we just kind of do the bite-sized snackable content. So we want to continue that program, and we want to branch out a little bit and do enterprise technology conversations. So not just end users, but also the companies that are building the technology that is influencing enterprise adoption of Node.js. We want to do a series where we host 10 to 15-minute conversations on those as well. Next slide. I'll try to speed up here. I know we don't want to take too much time on this. Up-leveling the impact. So of the Node.js survey, user survey. So this year, we're really going to be focusing on the HTML report. That's the way the audience that we care most about wants to consume data. Hats off to NodeSource. I thought their Node by Numbers report did a really nice job in this regard. It's interactive. It's sort of snackable. You can share different bits of it. And that's what we're aiming for here. So that's the big strategy. Our target go live is in April. We are going to try to host a webinar with like a sneak peek of the data for press and analysts to try to generate a little bit of buzz around it. But that's our big focus here. And if anybody has questions, please stop me. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat and see if there's questions. Looks like we're good. Technical content workstream. So something that a lot of folks in the community have been talking about for a while has been how can the foundation provide sort of a vendor agnostic set of what I'm sort of loosely, and I think the working name right now are field guides, right? So field guides to the way enterprises can consume Node.js. So we've identified a bunch of topics and we prioritize them to start with APIs. The next one's going to be on IoT, then single page apps, then mobile backends, then front end optimization. I couldn't be more excited by the group of subject matter experts who have raised their hand and said that they're willing to help. We had a kickoff call last week with the folks you see here. If you'd like to participate and you are willing to help write this thing, please let me know, right? This is, we are not limiting it to members or anything like that. Al Sang was the CTO, I think, and one of the founders of Strong Loop. He's now with a new startup, Lunch Badger. If you feel like you can help us make a building APIs field guide, really amazing and awesome, and have the time to contribute, shoot me an email. Anybody who, if you don't know my email address, it's gwallace@Linux Foundation. So super easy. So that's where we're at. All right. Let's see. I guess, Zibby, how about I'll take this first column and then I'll hand it over to you. So by partnering with the ecosystem, so you all probably know that there's another foundation at the Linux Foundation that's really very close cousin to the Node Foundation. It's the JavaScript Foundation or JS Foundation. So we are looking for ways, and have already identified a few, and we're continuing to look for ways that we can partner, not just with the JSF, but also with other projects that are, highly related to Node. The Cloud Native Computing Foundation, for example, even Hyperledger, which is the blockchain project at the Linux Foundation, one of the most popular projects. So that's also an umbrella project like CNCF. So there's a lot of different code repos within Hyperledger, 9 of them now. One of the most popular ones was built with Node. It's called Hyperledger Composer. So, we're trying to find ways that we can, kind of exploit one of the real strengths of Node, which is its polyglot nature, and, work with adjacent foundations here at the Linux Foundation to make sure that we're, reaching all of the audiences that we can, and telling the most interesting stories. So that's kind of that first column. And Zibby, I'll go on mute now and let you talk about the other two.
You're still muted, Zippy.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Great. Am I echoing to anyone else?
Just a little bit. Very small.
Okay. I apologize. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties. So if it becomes too unbearable, please speak up. In terms of third-party strategy, kind of broadening it up, I think one thing we're really wanting to focus on this year is a few things. One is trying to get Mark at more events speaking. These could be events that focus on Node.js and JavaScript, but also kind of ecosystems that we're seeing Node.js fall into, whether it's cloud native, potentially Hyperledger, those sorts of things. I think this also encompasses a lot of our members and possibly board members speaking at events that, again, are outside the Node.js JavaScript community, but still would be important to get in front of with Node.js messaging. So that's a big focus of ours. We've already sent out a few call for papers that we thought were events that kind of fall under this umbrella to the marketing group, and also with ComCom, and just kind of looking at different ways that we can support speakers at these events. In terms of kind of PR, AR, social, I think one thing that we are focused on this year is doing more media relations. We're currently doing a messaging refresh and trying to find some higher level stories around Node.js that we can share with media members and really get some more meta narratives around Node.js out there. I think continuing to work with analysts, especially as we see and hear a lot of feedback with analysts who are looking to better understand how Node.js fits within different environments, will be a big priority for this. And again, to not annoy people, because I know I'm echoing. Does anyone have questions around that, or move on to the next slide?
Cool. All right, I'll take this one. So, I think continuing to work with the community and find those places where there's work happening within the community that the foundation can support, and just find those opportunities to partner. So, I've had the privilege of spending some time with Michael Dawson and Dan Shaw and some others on the Node Enterprise User Forum, I think is what NIF stands for. I might be messing that up, but also they're working on a survey that I've been helping with for the Benchmark and Performance Working Group, and then there's ongoing. Zibby already spoke to the work that she does with ComCom around the Node collection. So these programs are super successful, and I really enjoy it. Right, it's a lot of fun. This community is so vibrant and big and engaged and expert, and we want to make sure that we are helping and being supportive of all of the great work that's happening in the community, and taking advantage of some of that work as well, right? And making sure that we're providing a platform, an additional platform for the community to kind of plug into. We also do want to really highlight a lot of the work, and it isn't just the members of the Node Foundation, but a lot of the great work that's happening is being done within our members. One of the things that blew me away was at Node Interactive, we did a series of interviews with a bunch of members that we're turning into some content that we'll be putting up on the Node Foundation website. And in talking to one of our members, it was striking to me how important the engagement with the Node community, with developers, with all of you is for the work that they do in designing the architecture of their products. And as a consequence of that feedback that they've received from the Node community, their architecture is significantly more performant than it had been previously. And so that's just one example of where the engagement with the community is incredibly valuable for many of the vendor members that support the development, right, and that support Node through their membership in the Node Foundation. And so we want to provide a channel, a platform where we can talk about those things. And so that's the idea behind the Enterprise Tech Conversation series. So this would be very similar in format to the enterprise conversations that we've been doing, but would, instead of focusing on an end user, would focus on the technology that's really driving the enterprise trends. And then, this is still something that we're sorting out, but we do want to, if there's a way that the foundation can, serve as a kind of a clearinghouse to connect, great speakers and experts within the community to speaking opportunities, we would like to do that. And so we're exploring this right now. It's still sort of early stages, but we would, welcome input. And so if you have thoughts on how we might do this, or, what you see as being some gaps that we could potentially fill, we would love to hear from you. And I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's it. So, Mark, I guess we can hand it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Greg. All right. Well, that was the last thing on today's agenda. Are there any questions in the chat? I haven't seen it yet, but we can take any questions before we adjourn the meeting. And for those that weren't paying attention to the chat, we did put the links to the showcase and to Greg's email if you were looking to follow up.
So I just wanted to say thank you to Greg. I appreciate the effort you've been putting in. It shows.
Okay, I appreciate that. It's my pleasure.
All right. Okay, I guess then I don't see any questions. So
then let's call the meeting to a close. Meeting adjourned.
Right.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks everyone. Have a good day.